Hello and welcome to my channel.
Oh, we got boobies again.
Vice Rhino here. Boobies over there. More boobies over there.
Hello. I hear two Vice Rhinos now.
Oh yeah, that's because how loud is she? Say something.
Hello.
Is she like all quiet?
No, not really.
Okay, so I can take her down a little. Yeah, no, that was one of the technical issues that I was having before. Like I was just saying to Cirrus off camera, I'm mad at everything right now. It's like YouTube was fucking up, Twitch was fucking up,
Everything's wrong.
my mixer was fucking up. Yeah, no, everything was just fucking up. So, content warning on tonight's stream. We're going to be discussing some pretty heavy shit. Abortion is going to come up. The Holocaust is going to come up. I'm sure at some point we'll talk about the Israel-Palestine thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not going to be a normal hunky-dory, everything's happy, make dick jokes about everything stream. So yeah, if that might be upsetting to you, don't watch tonight.
I will go ahead and say, at least for people on my stream, I think just about all of them have been thoroughly desensitized on all of those topics, and I don't know if that's a good thing.
Yeah. Oh, and we got Sakura in my Twitch chat as the one person. Let's see. I think I tried to set up a thing where it would show my Twitch chat on stream, but there's just like a little plus button and nothing's happening when I click it. Yeah, no, I don't know. I'm gonna get mad at that now too.
Everything gets to be just wrong. Forever.
Yeah. Hello Twitch chat. Hello YouTube chat. Hello Cirrus's stream. Fun times.
How's it going?
It's going. I'm going to Colorado tomorrow for a wedding.
I feel like a third wheel.
Okay, we'll say something.
I just did.
Okay. she's our token woman.
Yeah, I'm the
that we
token
have on to
woman
talk
for
about
tonight.
abortion. So she's not actually going to say anything. She's just going to sit there the whole time so we can say we had a woman on the panel.
That reminds me, back when non-sec was a thing, there was a abortion debate that it was me versus the Catholic fusionist, and just like halfway through the debate, Kyle just randomly brings in, I think, Katie Joy Paulson.
Katie Joy Paulson?
Like, yeah. And I was just like, but why? Like, why in the middle of the debate?
Like,
oh, so we had a woman on.
Like the TERF Katie Joy Paulson?
I don't know if it was revealed that she was that back then.
Huh. That's one of those
placement.
Oh yeah. That's my she's my Vanna White. Yeah, no, she's sitting over there like, I don't know who the fuck Katie Joy Paulson is.
No, I don't.
Yeah, Fusel saying if you just look for Rhino on Twitch, find the stream, one finds something interesting. So yeah, I'm not sure what that's about.
I'm not sure either.
Hello,
I'm
Rabbit.
not sure at all.
Okay, let's see. I'm gonna actually go to... What? How come I have to log in again? I was already logged in. My dashboard. Got messages. Oh, okay.
What happened?
I have to press play in the dashboard. And now it'll just play through all the stuff that I hit the plus on automatically.
I love scuff streams. They're the best.
Yeah. No. Boop. There we go. I figured it out. Yay me.
You did it. We're so proud of you.
You should be. Okay. Anyway.
At this point, yeah.
Anyway, at this point, let's get into this stupid topic that we're going to be talking about.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so no, I'm responding to a Creation Ministries International video in the video that I'm working on right now. And and I just realized that I forgot to schedule Friday's video. And I'm leaving tomorrow at 3 a.m., so I'm going to have to do that right after the stream. Welcome to ADHD Brain.
This is why I have my computer, like my main computer. I have it set to where I can access it from my laptop. So every time I forget something when I'm not in my office, I'm like, oh, hold on real quick. Let me just fix all the things I messed up or forgot.
Yeah. Yeah, so anyway, this is a CMI video that, like, I considered responding to it, but then I'm like, nah, I don't feel like doing a whole video on abortion, so we're doing it here. So we got 4 short-ish segments of it that I want to play.
What about abortion to save the mother's life?
I agree.
This comes up.
Yeah, okay. Well, well, okay, we agree. Yeah, abortion to save the mother's life, but also any other time she might want one.
Yeah, but I figure we just stop them there and then.
Yeah, that's as good as they're going to get.
I wonder how bad it's going to get.
Well, okay. Let's just watch.
When there is an ectopic pregnancy, meaning that the fertilized egg has implanted outside the uterus, such as the fallopian tube.
Yeah, so they seem to think that the only situation in which an abortion can save the mother's life is an ectopic pregnancy.
There's also plenty of situations where the act of giving birth would actually be lethal to the mother, and a cesarean section would also be incredibly problematic because there's plenty of reasons why you don't want to do invasive surgeries.
I do agree.
But
that's going to be my contribution. I do agree.
you mentioned, you're like, okay, so she's going to be on to be the token woman.
I was joking about that, but she's also very tired, so if she's like not as chatty as we normally are on stream.
Sometimes when you only have a little bit of stamina, you got to do with what you got to do.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, also, as far as abortion to save the mother's life, it's never, well, almost never. It's almost never a yes or no situation where, like, the abortion will save the life versus without the abortion, it's 100% that woman's going to die. It's always
a percentage chance.
It's always a percentage chance, and depending on what doctor you go to, they might disagree on what the percentages are. And so if you say, yes, we'll allow abortion, but only in the situation where it's going to save the mother's life, then that leaves doctors open to, like, yeah, I think it's necessary in this case, but what if I get sued and then the people suing me bring a Catholic doctor up on the stand that says, no, in my medical opinion, that abortion was unnecessary. And so it's going to make abortion access harder for people who actually need it.
How about all the penises just mind their own business?
That would be ideal.
That would be ideal if we ignored the fact that there are people like Lori Alexander, whose opinion I also don't want to hear on abortion.
Yeah.
Do you know who that is?
No, but I'm guessing it's a woman.
I'll tell you.
Holder.
I'll tell you her screen name on Twitter. I'll see if you can guess anything about her. It's the Transformed Wife. Because Christ has transformed her life, and she realizes that women shouldn't vote or have access to abortions or get educated,
because I really thought that she was a trans wife.
Nope.
Well, that's whenever I take screenshots of her things, I always abbreviate their first name and then just put a number after it so that I can sequentialize it if I do more than one screenshot of the same person. So whenever I do her, it's always trans 1, trans 2. She would probably hate that.
I think it's perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, no, sometimes I do that specifically because, like, if this person ever saw my file naming convention, they would hate that I did this to them.
Yeah.
Like K sorbet.
K sorbet.
Yeah, anyway, so ectopic pregnancy is apparently the only time a woman's life is in danger.
Keep in mind, this is not a normal, healthy pregnancy. It carries serious risk for the mother, but removing the ectopic...
All pregnancies carry serious risks.
Yeah. You can't even predict some of the things that will happen. It's
a percentage chance.
Yeah.
You never know what that's going to be. Like as an example, let's say a woman has diabetes and as a result has to be on blood thinners. That pregnancy can be lethal, and a cesarean section would almost definitely come with a fuck ton of problems. Just guaranteed in that situation.
But it's not even just about life or death, it's about quality of life afterwards. So like for me, I got pregnancy carpal tunnel that just never went away. And up until a few weeks ago, well, even still, because I'm healing from surgery, I couldn't even write more than a paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
So now what I would do for a living, because I used to be like a receptionist or a secretary or assistant, I can't even do the job that I used to do. So now I can't even provide for my child.
Pain now.
Yeah. But then now I can't provide for my child. So if someone already has some limitations to begin with, you don't know what additional limitations you might end up with afterwards either.
See, I didn't even know that pregnancy carpal tunnel was a thing.
I didn't know it either until I had it. But the same thing, you can get pregnancy diabetes. Some people, when they have the baby, it goes away, and other people, they just develop diabetes.
Yeah.
The insulin response just continues to do what it was doing during pregnancy.
My kid's mother almost developed gestational diabetes. She was they were watching her closely for that, and she had to go back for repeated tests over and over again. It was not pleasant.
But I mean, even she had an emergency pregnancy or delivery, didn't she?
No. So our oldest child was breech. So that was a C-section. And it wasn't just like she wanted to do a breech delivery, but her feet were coming out first, which I guess the feet would come out at like 3 centimeters dilated. And then as soon as the foot touches air, that triggers the body to start breathing and stop relying on the umbilical cord. And so in between 3 centimeters and 10 centimeters, when the rest of the baby could come out, that's way too long to go without being able to breathe.
Yeah.
So that was a C-section. And then our second child was a VBAC, vaginal birth after cesarean. And the delivery went like, he ended up inhaling meconium on his way out, which if you're not familiar, meconium is like newborn baby poop that has the consistency of tar, but stickier. And so get that in your lungs and that you're having a bad time. So they actually had to resuscitate him right after delivery. And then he spent the first 2 weeks of his life in the neonatal intensive care unit. And then the third one was a C-section. He was breech again. She wanted to try for vaginal birth again and have one that didn't go wrong.
I get it.
But yeah.
Jeez.
So that's my kids. Hooray for modern medicine. All of my kids would be dead if we didn't have it.
I would probably be dead.
Yeah.
Because I had to have a C-section I had for both, but for my first one, because my pelvis is too narrow, he couldn't drop into the pelvis. So he just would have never come out.
Yeah, it would have ended up with sepsis, yeah.
Yeah.
And that is a scenario in which an abortion is the medical treatment. Not that specific scenario, but like often, not often, thankfully, but often enough, the fetus will actually die. And then if you don't have it removed through a process that is medically called an abortion, you can die of sepsis.
Yep.
And there have already been cases in the States of women refused medical care, even though their fetus was dead, because that's technically an abortion. I can't do that.
Yeah. But I mean, so even with things like that, because one of my friends had a stillbirth. And depending on how far along you are, sometimes the doctor just recommends that you carry the baby. But like the mental and emotional like stress that comes with that, like carrying a baby that you know is no longer alive but's inside of you, like that's emotional mental damage. Like there's a lot of therapy that's going to come with that.
And yet there are people that want this to be forced on everybody and wants it to be considered a moral requirement of women to breed, basically. And
these two guys who Marilana in my Twitch chat says they look like they were ordered from the Christian equivalent of Wish.com by new generic brand religious commentators.
Yep.
And that's actually kind of accurate because the guy on the right replaced Calvin when Calvin went to Answers in Genesis.
Ectopic pregnancy is not considered an abortion. However, it is a genuine life-for-life situation.
In this case, the death of the child is accidental, not intended. Knowledge of consequences that will result from committing an action is not the same as intending those consequences.
Remember that they said that for later. Knowledge of the potential consequences does not mean you are intending those consequences.
Oh, we're doing the car crash scenario. Great.
I don't think we're doing the car crash scenario.
Knowledge that you can get in a car crash doesn't mean you consented to the car crash just because
okay.
you drove your car.
I guess we are getting into that, but they don't use that analogy.
Okay.
It's sometimes even possible to save the child with emergency C-section.
He just said it's possible to save an ectopic pregnancy with an emergency C-section.
You can't save an ectopic pregnancy. It's not a person.
So here's that is actually a half truth.
Okay.
Well, okay, less than a half truth, like a 2% truth, because hypothetically, in two very specific and very rare types of ectopic pregnancies, one where it implants into a former C-section scar, and I forget where it implants in the other one. In those two very specific scenarios, it is hypothetically possible that the embryo could survive to the point where we could remove it with a C-section and it might survive. Hypothetically. Notably, it has never once been done. It has never even been attempted because that would be wildly unethical because it would put the mother at incredible risk.
Yeah.
So that's one of those, like, yeah, we looked at this thing that is hypothetically maybe possible if you look at it just right.
Well, what are they going to do with the embryo once it's out?
Their
Well, it's
best,
a baby
I
now.
guess.
Whiskey RPG says, yay, my favorite power couple is back. Plus 1 year call. I assume the plus 1 year call is deciding whether power couple is referring to me and Cirrus or me and you.
I think you guys are the power couple. I'm the third wheel here.
Jesus Christ.
Just got to be more of a power bottom.
I'll try.
You try.
We got in my Twitch chat, how many comatose violinists do I need for these assholes? We're getting to that one.
In incubation.
By contrast, the intent of an abortion is always to produce a dead baby.
No, the intent of an abortion is not to produce a dead baby. That's just a dishonest way to phrase it.
What are you talking about? I've done plenty of abortions because I want lots of dead babies for my dead baby cannon. I'm low on ammo.
How are these people allowed to speak?
Good question. Let's rescind the First Amendment just for creationists.
We unironically
actually, no. These guys are Canadian, so that would be article. I think it's Article 1 of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. No, Article 2 it would be, because Article 1 is the kind of preamble thingy. Whatever. Americans don't care. Why are you listening to me talk about the Canadian Charter?
I don't know why I'm listening to you talk about it.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, next clip. The 2-year-old abortion
It's
test.
mind-boggling to think that ending a human life could be considered a matter of personal choice.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Ending a human life is a matter of personal choice.
It always is.
Yeah. Like when you sign up for the military and then kill someone as part of a war, you made the personal choice to do something that could potentially wind up with you ending a human life.
Yeah. Or when you snort uranium.
These guys should try that.
Only once, though. Only once.
I've got all the Canadians in my chat are sounding off like, I care. It's like, yeah, but you're Canadian.
I am too.
Yeah, but you're Canadian.
Oh, we got Neuromdiput's just tipped 420, and I don't know where my fucking thing where I can actually see that message that we can't see on stream went. I know it's around somewhere. No, everything... I'm sorry, Neuromdiput's. I don't see it today. What's going on?
There's a lot of stuff on your computer.
There is a lot of stuff on my computer. So, yeah, I don't know.
Career or dieting.
Let's put some of the pro-abortion arguments in perspective by applying the 2-year-old test. Whenever there's a reference to a fetus, substitute 2-year-old.
Okay, but to make it a fair thing, substitute 2-year-old who is obligatorily attached to you in a medical fashion for life support.
Yeah.
And you cannot freely live your life disconnected from that life support.
Also, it should be blatantly obvious, one of the easiest counters to this. We could apply the 2-year-old test, but a fetus isn't a 2-year-old.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, it's a category error.
For example, it's the right of every 2-year-old to be wanted.
Did they not agree with that? Did they not agree that every child should be a wanted child?
Yeah.
If you're a child and you're not wanted, then maybe it would be better if the parent who doesn't want you doesn't have to have you, so that the options are not parent who doesn't want you and the adoption system, which at least in America is completely fucked up.
Mm-hmm. Jethro Elfman sent $2 just to say Canadian.
Woohoo!
Yeah, but it's like, no, I agree. It's the right of every 2-year-old to be wanted. Every child should be wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
we're not pro-killing 2-year-olds. We're pro-choice.
Like, it just makes no sense.
Nope, not at all.
I mean, yeah, no, I'm not pro-killing 2-year-olds, but I am pro-choice, and like, yeah, no, category error again, because a 2-year-old is not an embryo, but like, if you made the choice to not have a child, but you got pregnant, then I am pro-choice. And that's not pro-killing 2-year-olds.
I think the worst part about this, though, is that when they talk about actions and intentions and all that, like they did before, they're going to... I'm assuming you have a clip in here where they talk about rape. I'm assuming that you do.
I haven't watched them all the way through, so I'm assuming that I do too, but I might have missed that one, because like these are like short 2 to 3 minute clips from a half-hour video, and I only pulled 4 of them.
Yeah. We already know what the answer is going to be, though, when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Unless you're prepared to adopt this 2-year-old, you have no right to tell the mother she should not kill her.
What?
Well, because it's the 2-year-old test. Unless you're prepared to adopt this 2-year-old, you have no right to tell the mother she shouldn't.
Yeah, it's a 2-year-old test because only a 2-year-old would be stupid to think of it.
Accurate, yeah. And then if we... And of course, they have to, like, use inflammatory language like killing the fetus. It's like, no, it's just removing fetal tissue.
No, you can't call it a clump of cells. That's not fair.
We get to that one, too.
Clump of cells.
Oh. Tomoko Lovecraft says removing a tick is murder.
If we don't make it possible for the mother to kill her 2-year-old safely, then she'll do it unsafely and possibly put her own health in danger.
That's not even relevant.
It doesn't matter. Like the safety part of the conversation isn't what matters here at all. What matters here is, should a woman have access to her own bodily integrity? Not just autonomy,
yeah,
but integrity.
Yeah.
And if their answer is no, then their argument is not one of protecting children, it is one of controlling women, period.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like if we go to the violinist thing where like that's the hypothetical where you fall asleep and then you wake up and you've been medically attached to a violinist who has kidney failure, and if you disconnect from them, they'll die. And it's some weird hypothetical where that's some that's an actual medical possibility and you're the only person or something. And then it's like, because you are now attached to them, it's murder if you disattach yourself from this violinist. You will kill them.
I didn't consent to be attached in the first place.
Exactly. So like, replace 2-year-old with the violinist scenario, and it's like, yeah, if we don't make it possible for people to safely detach themselves from the violinist, they're going to try and do it themselves because they don't want to be attached to a violinist their whole lives.
A violinist.
Violinist.
The violinist test.
The vinyl litmus test.
Now, that sounds shocking, but you can see the logic.
No.
No, you can't see the logic, and it sounds shocking because you purposely worded it in a dishonest way to make it sound shocking.
Why should killing a preborn baby be any less monstrous?
Okay, but you see the picture there of these things that they're saying are human? Like, yeah, it's human in the sense that it's human tissue. But, like, there's no brain there. And even in the later stages where the brain starts developing, they've got it up to 56 days. That's not when, like if we're going from a when does the fetus become an individual standpoint, the third trimester is when the parts of the brain that are capable of holding an individuality begin to develop. An argument could be made that they're not fully developed until well after birth, but nobody's saying we want afterbirth abortions.
I'm gonna just raise my hand on that one and say if I'm in the airport and I'm on the plane, I will consider it.
Yeah, but if you're considering an abortion for someone else, that violates the consent rules, though, Cirrus.
And my ears were violated too. I'm kidding. I'm not actually advocating for this.
Oh, the headphones she's wearing right now, those are the noise-canceling headphones that I bought specifically for the plane.
So
tomorrow.
Your ears didn't have their consent violated?
Well, it kind of, I don't know how, but I've been working all week without realizing that I'm going to be, like, not home on Thursday and Friday. So I've been, like, planning my week around working on Thursday and Friday. And then it's like, oh, wait, I'm going to be on an airplane at 4 a.m. or whatever, 6, whatever. I'm exaggerating, sorry.
I would be sleeping, so.
Yeah, you'll be sleeping, I'll be working. And,
such is life.
Yeah, that's the way it goes.
Than killing a toddler, a teenager, or an adult.
Yeah, no, they're very different. Although that adult on the right there, I feel like we could do without him.
Jesus Christ.
It's one of them.
It is. It's the guy on the left.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. When
He thought he could trick us by putting him on the right.
They're all human beings at different stages of development.
It's human tissue, but they're not human people until they're out. Because, like, and this brings up the issue, if you want to consider a fetus a person, then is that when child support starts? Is that when Social Security starts? Is that when...
If you're pregnant, can you go in the carpooling lane?
Did someone win that?
Yeah, she got out of her ticket that way.
Yeah.
Because I think the judge just didn't want to deal with it.
I think the judge should have dealt with it. I think that I would have loved to have actually seen how that particular argument would have gone down. I want to see what the lawyer pulled out of his ass.
It was a traffic violation, though. Like, it's when it starts getting to criminal law that you would start to see it actually go up to the higher courts. Traffic violation's never going to make it there. So, but then you get, like, a pregnant woman in prison. You're now imprisoning a baby without giving them due process.
Yeah.
You're violating their constitutional rights by imprisoning them. So a pregnant woman can't go to prison.
Can't go to work. Child labor.
Oh yeah, we covered a story about that a few weeks ago, didn't we? The person who was pregnant, who the company, in order to get around liability for the accidental death, said that the baby was an employee.
Yeah. I vaguely remember that. I think I tried to not vaguely remember that for a while.
Yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, no, there are massive problems with considering a fetus a person right from the moment of conception.
Yep.
Years ago, Judith Jarvis Thompson put forward a hypothetical scenario. Suppose you wake up in a hospital to discover that because you have the same rare blood type, your circulatory system has been connected to that of a famous violinist with a serious kidney infection.
Yeah. It's the famous violinist.
The hospital claims you are now morally compelled to stay connected until the violinist can...
I don't know why it has to be a violinist. Like,
So
why can't... I know, because it's a person of value.
A person
or whatever.
of value, yeah.
I'm
like-
valued?
Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like, every person should be a person of value.
Yeah,
But why would they even connect someone? Like, there's no consent there.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
That's the point.
But just like there's no consent when it comes to being pregnant. If you consent to having sex, it's not consent to pregnancy. So
No.
it ends up fitting.
function independently, at least 9 months. Thompson asked whether you would feel morally obliged to go along. Her point
No,
is that the
I
right
would
to
not.
life of one person does not override the right of another person to choose what happens to his or her body.
Okay, let's stop it there, and we're all in agreement.
Yeah. So far.
But that's not where they stop.
She argues that even if we grant the humanity of the unborn baby, she has no ethical or moral right to the use of her mother's body to sustain her life.
It's
Absolutely.
actually not a very good argument.
What?
It's not a very good argument. He said it,
But
and he's
it-
wearing glasses, so it must be right.
It is a good argument, though. It's the same set of scenarios, the same set of circumstances. Wait a minute. These fuckers can't do the just substitute a 2-year-old argument and then get upset when somebody does a substitution argument.
Yeah.
This is the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same type of argument.
It's the same thing, except it's closer to actually being analogous because the person that we've substituted for the fetus is dependent on your body for their life.
Yeah.
And so then it becomes more obvious that, like, no, I have the right to my own body. If I do not consent to being hooked up to this person,
You
gotta say more things.
Oh, more things.
You're too token.
She did say more things. She did say more things, right now.
Just jump
It's
in.
like when we watch those horrible Christian movies, and I'm just like sitting there with my mouth open the whole time because I just can't believe this is a thing.
The one that they covered this week, it's literally a commercial for ghost hunters. And in the middle of the commercial for ghost hunters, there's another commercial for a cleaning service called the Cheerful Cleaners or something like that. That their whole shtick is that they come to your house and the entire time they're cleaning, they sing.
Why would I want that?
I don't know. But I kind of want to call them just to mess with them.
I don't.
We'll
I
get
can
that
think of
for
a
Sarah's
thousand
for
things I
his
want more.
birthday.
No.
Yeah, no.
Absolutely not.
We're just gonna send him over.
I can
They're
clean
actually-
my own house.
You know what? They're a lot closer to you than they are to me, so they might actually make that trip.
a lot closer to violence than you might think.
But yeah, no, they're singing "This Little Light of Mine" or some Christian chipper cheery
Oh, it's
whatever
a
song.
Christian?
Yeah. But they're singing some Christian song, some chipper cheery Christian
we're
song,
so sending
while
that.
they're scrubbing a lady's brains off the wall.
Okay.
We broke Cirrus.
This little light of mine, and the light went out of her.
Well, it's a ghost hunting thing. So like, the lady
Yeah.
commits suicide at the beginning. Now she's a ghost, and they need to find someone that can clean the house. And the only people that can clean the house are the ones that sing Christian songs while they do it, because ghosts can't be in the room while someone's singing a Christian song.
Obviously, I guess. Sure. Yeah. You know what? No, never mind. I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
They're from your neck of the woods, Cirrus. Give them a call.
That's. You know what? You know who else is from my neck of the woods?
Marjorie
right now?
Taylor
Marjorie Taylor
Greene.
Green.
Speaking of which,
That's enough.
Speaking of which, I got so distracted setting up the abortion thing that I forgot to actually set up the tweets. So there will be a moment of me fiddling with stuff once we get to that part.
Francis
a quick moment of
Beckwith pointed
stupor.
out some ethical problems in his book, Politically Correct Death. Number one, Thompson's analogy assumes all moral obligations to offspring are voluntary, but both parents have involuntary obligations because they had sex knowing it could result in pregnancy.
So you remember that thing earlier where they said that, taking an action and being aware of potential consequences does not mean you're intending those potential consequences. So that's why it's okay to abort an ectopic pregnancy, is because when you take an action like having sex, knowing that the potential consequences of pregnancy, you're not intending the pregnancy, and so it's okay to do things to end that pregnancy. Using their own logic, abortion's fine.
Just like using their own logic, the violinist argument is fine because they used the 2-year-old substitution. If you can use a substitutive argument, so can we.
Number 2, Thompson equates volunteerism with family morality.
Oh yeah, let's also address the like obligations to an offspring. Because like that's the whole like, oh, I have a kid now, so I can't just like not feed them. And it's like, yeah, that's true, but like the ideally, if it actually gets to a point where you have a kid, that's because you chose to have a kid. You want to have that kid, and so presumably you want to do the best job you can raising that kid, which includes the things that they're calling involuntary obligations. Like they're only involuntary if you did not choose to have a child.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're going to give the worst argument against abortion that has ever been concocted. What if that kid had the cure for cancer?
Oh, yeah, the one that is countered by Hitler existed?
Yes.
Which involves personal obligations to our offspring, which we don't have to others.
Yeah, okay, but like, again, you would choose to have them with your offspring. That's
It all starts with consent, though.
Yeah.
Number 3, the preborn child has a right to the mother's body because he or she is dependent on its mother at this stage of development.
How is that different from the violin scenario?
It's completely non-different.
Yeah, like they're saying that this is why it's a problem with the violinist analogy, is because like this is supposed to be a difference that is a problem with the analogy. But it's like, no, the violinist at that point is dependent on your body at that stage of his life. So
I don't think they understand consent. And
No,
this is
they don't.
where the problem might be, because I see this just filtering into so many other areas, like for women with consent. Like they need a comprehensive understanding of what consent actually is.
it would now be a bad time to inform you that the people that belong to this type of movement are also the people most likely to advocate against the idea that spousal rape is a thing.
Of course they are.
So, yeah, you're right.
Unironically, one of the strangest moments in my life, there's a friend I had back when I was really conservative who, like, conversations we had were perfectly normal to me back then, and then, like, we stopped talking when he went into the military, and then when he got out of the military, we started talking again well after I'd made my channel and had a lot of political shifts, and the concept of marital rape came up for some reason. He was just like, yeah, that can't happen, though.
But
He's just like, yeah, that's impossible.
No, it's not.
Listen, but
saying I
we were
do
friends.
is not lifetime consent, regardless of any other circumstances. Consent can always be revoked.
Yep. If consent can be revoked mid-sex, consent can be revoked mid-marriage.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Such a good token.
I feel so dirty right now.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I can't make her talk more.
That would be even worse.
Say words.
Consent.
I'm gonna force you into saying consent.
I don't need to know about what toys you guys employ.
Should we pack those in the carry-on to give the TSA guys a laugh?
Wouldn't be my first time.
Just make sure you get some of the ones that have metal so it sets it off.
And there's no reason to deny that right if the child is a human, as Thompson allows.
No.
Yes, there is. There's lots of. They gave a reason earlier. Ectopic pregnancy.
This is why when people have tried to go like, no, the best argument is when the when the brain begins to develop, that's the best argument. Like, no, the best argument is the one that grants them every one of their positions and still calls them wrong.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I've never thought that brain development is a good argument against or for abortion. I think that it's better to just go, hey, this thing is in the body and you didn't consent to it being in the body. I live in a state with stand your ground laws, and I believe women should be allowed to stand their ground against a fetus.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, as far as the brain development goes, like as someone who used to hold to that position, I can see the merit to it. But like, yeah, absolutely. It's all about bodily autonomy and like the right to your own body. So like, it doesn't matter. Like it could be a fully grown violinist and you have the right to not support them with your body. Whiskey RPG says, I agree, token. But so my position before was that like when the brain starts developing, that's when you should start to consider potentially other things, with the understanding that the final decision is always down to the pregnant person whose body it actually is. So like, do you want to have a C-section and give the baby up for adoption? That's an option at this point. No? Okay, abortion it is. But like, maybe give some consideration to the other options at that point, but ultimately, yeah, it just comes down to a matter of bodily autonomy.
Mind your business, mind your business. If everyone just minds their own
I like how
business.
on your Caribbean music playlist, there's like 2 songs in a row. One is like, I mind my business, and the other one is I mind your business. And they come right one after the other, and they have a very similar beat. So I feel like those are ones that were like written kind of like one in response to the other. Feels like they're arguing.
Number 4, abortion is not simply withholding treatment, but is actually the killing of the baby.
No, it is the removal of the baby from using someone's body without that person's consent.
I just think they're stupid. Like, it's hard for me to like say stuff because I just think they're stupid.
Okay.
In the analogy, there's no guarantee the violinist will die.
No, that's part of the analogy. If you disconnect the violinist, he dies. That's literally a part of the analogy. Like, it's a hypothetical.
This is funny.
Oh, both of them make the best fit. I have so many screenshots saved to use for thumbnails because both of them just make the worst ridiculous faces.
They look like they are trying. They're trying very hard to look serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are very important, and the things we say need to be taken seriously. You need to be in front of a series of books so people know you're knowledgeable. You need to be wearing a suit so people know you're put together, and you need to not be on the floor like the aborted fetal tissue will be in just a moment.
Sakura says, my position, so long as the embryo fetus baby is in one's body, that person has the right to evict same. Yep.
What if we just don't call it
with
abortion anymore? Maybe we just call it evictions.
Yeah, then Republicans will be right on board with that. I'm a landlord.
You okay with evictions?
I'm a landlord. They didn't pay their rent for 9 months. Get them out of there.
Yeah.
Yep.
But abortion is intended to kill.
Thompson's point is that a woman should have autonomy over her body and everything in it.
Yes.
Yes.
Agreed.
So
That's a reasonable thing.
they can reiterate the point. They just don't get it. They don't absorb it.
Even another human being.
Yes. And again, that's stand your ground laws are all about that. I have autonomy over my property, and if somebody violates that, I have the right to kill them. That's like, how is your actual body instead of property less important? Like if there's somebody on my
women are just property.
because like in a stand your ground state, if somebody's on my front lawn, do you have to give them warning, or can you just shoot?
So on your front lawn, you generally can't. It's when they're inside your house.
Well, they're inside my body,
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
which is inside my house.
But what's
again-
more inside your house than inside your body?
But again, do you have to give warning? And are there provisions for like if they were invited in and like, do you have to ask them to leave first? And then if they don't leave, or is it like vampires where if you invite them in, they can just come in and stand your ground no longer applies?
So for Georgia specifically, if you are able, you must give reasonable steps to avoid an attack before you are allowed to defend yourself. But there's nothing in the law that strictly mandates that. In Georgia, your self-defense is you can stand your ground and use reasonable force to defend yourself, even if you could have ran away instead. So
can we just start having the abortions in their homes?
Yeah, that baby's in my home.
I didn't want it in my home.
I stood my ground. I used reasonable force. And yeah, that's what the chemical abortions, the mifepristone and whatnot, that most abortions are. That's reasonable force to stand my ground. Yeah, Sakura's in my Twitch chat saying exactly what I just said. Yay, same page.
By that logic, a woman could continue drinking alcohol knowing that the baby could develop fetal alcohol syndrome.
And she can. That's not illegal.
Yup.
And
I mean, I don't recommend it.
Yeah, no, but also, if you ban abortion, some people who are pregnant are going to potentially see drinking a lot of alcohol as a way to induce an abortion or to get rid of the fetus in a legal manner, or in a way that's not going to land them in prison. So like if they end up being put on trial for it, as some people have already, they can say like I was just drinking. It's not legal to drink while you're pregnant.
People who have substance use, whether it's alcohol or something else, and they might have gotten the abortion, and therefore the child wouldn't have been born with fetal alcohol syndrome or addiction to any of the other drugs. But now that you've taken away access, you're going to have all these additional children from people who have substance use problems because they have no access to abortions. Now what do we do? What happens to the child?
I don't know.
They die?
In a much more painful way, yeah.
Who knows why someone would do that, but then why?
Who knows why someone would get an abortion? Because it's been shown that people who seek abortions and get them end up with higher education levels, higher incomes, better quality of life, happier relationships.
Expensive and stressful.
Happier family. Most people who get abortions already have children.
Yep.
And they can provide for those children better if they don't have another expensive little rat running around. People are going to, some anti-abortion person's going to clip me calling kids rats. It's like I call my kids rats all the time.
We've taken because we've already got 5.
Yeah, no, is it too late for an abortion? Which one do we abort?
The one that didn't wash the dishes on time.
Oh. we know which one that is.
All of them.
Yeah, but one in particular.
Jesus Christ.
Evelyn Vale Winter says, I wonder if VR also has an R drive. I took a screenshot of the face that you said was funny because I might use that for the thumbnail when I do it. And so it showed up that I have everything stored on my V drive for Viced Rhino.
No, I thought it was for vagina, but okay.
No, it's for Viced.
But you inserted things into the V drive.
That's where I was going.
Okay. Yeah.
Can you take a picture of that one and then just put like little teardrops, like why am I crying out of his face? Because that's what that looks like to me.
I mean, not quickly, I can't.
No, not now.
Okay, well.
Would someone deliberately have a baby chopped up and vacuumed?
And have a baby deliberately chopped up and vacuumed?
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah. The one that's inside of me, at least. Not the ones running around.
Lord of Uzkalak says, which one do we abort? Cirrus, because slimes don't have rights.
How fine where you live.
Terrible things can happen when fallen human beings are in charge.
Yeah, like people putting other people's lives at risk because they don't think they had a good enough reason to get an abortion. I think this is the last one.
Here's another one. If you were really pro-life...
They've started every single one of these with here's another one.
Yeah.
Like, figure out a different transition
I'm
thing.
pro-choice.
You pay
So.
for the upkeep of the child until he or she reaches 18.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that is a straw man of the position. It's not we would pay for the upkeep. It's that you would do like Whiskey RPG says, kids are rats, Vice Rhino. It's about the social structures that are in place. So the party who is most anti-abortion, Republicans in the States, conservatives in Canada, also happen to be the parties that do things like say, hey, kids should not get free school lunches. And hey, mothers shouldn't get medical care covered by Medicaid or Medicare, whatever it is in after pregnancy for the year after pregnancy. And stuff like that.
Maybe that's what you guys should start lobbying for. Okay, if we can't have abortions, then those who wanted abortions get free health care.
Yeah, well, Scott Delahunt says, don't we have tax breaks for having children? Yes, we get to deduct them as dependents, and I don't know about where you guys are, but in Canada we get UCCB, Universal Child Care Benefit, which is a little bit of money to help take care of kids, and it scales with your income. The more money you make, the less you get from UCCB, and eventually they cut you off. But guess which party is trying to take that away? Which party does not want you to have that? The ones that are saying that they're pro-life.
So even with that, though, the cost of children is way more expensive than the money that you get. So.
Yeah. Oh, yes, so much more. Jethro Elfman says, if you're really pro-life, you should only have one kidney remaining. Yeah. Ooh. If you're that far pro-life, give a kidney.
I like that.
If you're not prepared to do that, then you have no right to oppose abortion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There are several reasons why this argument doesn't work. If you see a child being abused by their parents, do you call the authorities only if you're prepared to raise him or her to adulthood?
So if I see a child being abused and it's a bad enough situation that they need to be removed from that family, and it's someone that I know enough that I'm actually in a situation where I see them being abused, absolutely I will raise that child if I'm the only option. If the only option is continued abuse or they come live with me, they can come live with me, even though I already got 5 and I don't want another one.
I have no idea what it's like finding somebody in an abusive situation and rescuing them and housing them in your own house. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on. Jesus Christ, these people.
Yeah. Like, I'm sorry that you don't have a heart. Like...
Well, just because we can't adopt every unwanted child doesn't mean we shouldn't try to save their lives.
Well, what kind of life do they have?
Let's save their lives so that they can have a terrible fucking life. And these guys are Christian too. In my experience, most Christians believe that aborted babies go straight to heaven. So it's like, if you're going to, you're an unwanted child, you're going to end up having parents that don't want you. You could go through life with that in a horrible situation where they can't afford to feed you properly, they can't afford to house you properly, to give you clothes properly. You end up in foster care, you end up being on one of those adoption auction places. Have you heard of those things?
Yes.
Fucking A, man.
I have not actually.
There are entire communities of people that they will auction off kids that need to be adopted, and if you pay enough money, you can collect your kid, and there's a trial period where if you don't like your kid after that period, you can return them, and then they will be re-auctioned.
So they're just treating kids like pets?
Yeah. Slaves, like slaves, essentially. That because that's what they did with slaves, and it's horrific.
Yeah, like they model them across the stage, and you get to pick them and then have conversations with them, and then
it's so bad. It's so bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you could end up, is it better to live that kind of life, or would it be better to take the shortcut and just go straight to heaven? So they should be pro-aborting every fetus, because if they want to save as many souls as possible, everybody should get abortions, because Jesus himself said that more people will go to hell than to heaven. So knowing that, if you abort a baby, it's got a 100% chance of going to heaven. If you let it live, it's got a pretty good chance that it's not going to heaven. So abort all the babies, according to the Christian worldview. They should be encouraging abortion if
New
they're
sticker,
being
abort
consistent.
all the babies.
Abort
Just
all
have
the
a
babies.
sticker, I will
Jesus.
abort your child so they go to heaven.
Nothing threatening like that.
It's not threatening, though.
That
It's
sounds
heaven.
threatening.
How is heaven threatening, Rhino? Don't tell the Christians that.
Yeah, they're
Oh, that
they
would
don't
be awful.
they don't see love me or go to hell as a threat, so they don't know what threats are.
Not really.
But suppose pro-lifers really don't care about babies after they're born.
They
Does
don't.
that mean it's okay to let them be slaughtered?
If it means they go straight to heaven, yeah. And if they weren't people to begin with, because it was just it's a bit of cum that touched an egg.
So when this whole abortion thing came about, 2 years ago now?
Yeah, when they overturned Roe versus Wade.
Yeah. There was a ton of people on TikTok, but like adults who had been either adopted or put through foster care because their parents didn't have the abortion, and they were like, we would have rather just not have been alive.
Yeah.
Like with everything that they had to go through, they would have rather just not been alive.
Yeah. So Sakura is saying, doesn't the Bible have a bit about dashing babies' heads on the rocks and slicing open the wombs of pregnant women? The slicing open the wombs of pregnant women thing was a punishment levied on Israel. It wasn't a God condones this behavior. It was you disobeyed me, therefore your enemies are going to come and do this horrible thing to you. So that was seen as a horrible thing. But yeah, happy is he who takes your little ones and dashes them against the rocks. Yeah.
Puddles.
No. It's also rather melodramatic and manipulative to say that anyone who
What?
doesn't actively support a child's welfare after birth must want that child dead.
The people who have been using hyperbolic language to equate removing fetal tissue that has no consciousness, not even the potential for consciousness in a lot of scenarios,
Yes.
and they're calling that baby killing and murdering, but they're saying that we're being melodramatic
I'm manipulative.
and manipulative for saying that if you don't think that someone who is not capable of taking care of a child should have a child, you should be prepared to care for that child, or at least support the person who has the child so that they can take care of it.
Gaslighting.
It's manipulative and whatever else he said, I forgot.
Those words weren't important.
Yeah.
They weren't the real words.
If someone comes to your door asking for donations for cancer research and you decline, does that mean you want everyone with cancer to die?
Sometimes you decline because you don't have the money to do it. Sometimes you decline raising a child because you don't have the money to raise them.
No. But they're saying you decline because you don't have the money, not because you don't want people with cancer to die. So you're still anti-cancer, even if you're not prepared to pay for cancer research. Never mind the fact that my $4 is not going to make or break the cancer research, but my standing outside a Planned Parenthood waving signs around to scare people who need abortions away from it could very well lead to someone now stuck with an expensive dependent for at least 18 years.
Yeah. This is a fun time.
Of
I'm
course
enjoying
not, no.
myself.
And the idea that pro-lifers are pro-birth only is not even true.
It's pro-forced birth. They're right. It's not true that they're pro-birth only. It's pro-forced birth.
Oh, please tell me. What is it then, good sir? I would like to know.
Pro-lifers are at the forefront of care for mothers and babies.
Are they?
Guess what he thinks being at the forefront of care for mothers and babies is.
I would like to hear. Please tell me, good sir.
In the U.S., pro-life pregnancy counseling centers outnumber Planned Parenthood abortion mills.
Abortion mills?
Do you know what a pro-life pregnancy counseling center is, or a crisis pregnancy center?
People telling you to go have the baby?
Yeah, they dress themselves up to look like an abortion clinic so that when people who need abortions are looking for help, they're in a vulnerable situation, they go to these places out of desperation and they say, "Oh, let's do an ultrasound. Look at how cute it is, and look, you'll be killing a little baby if you get an abortion. So here's this pamphlet about what a murderer you'll be if you get an abortion." Now,
This is why
how
I
about
should have
you?
been raised to be an assassin.
Didn't they just make a whole stink about
Yeah.
being manipulative?
Yeah, they did, didn't they?
God, weird.
But it's like,
So strange.
and they're saying we're at the forefront of supporting mothers after birth by saying we have a bunch of centers that are designed to trick people into not getting abortion so that they have the baby, and then we leave them alone once they have the baby. Because at that point, the mission is accomplished. They're not at the forefront of supporting people with children or the children. They're at the forefront of tricking people into having children that they didn't want. That is
America.
These are Canadians.
You know that every single one of these arguments is being touted here.
These guys are in Kitchener. This is an hour away from my house. They're actually hiring. I tried to get her to apply for the position because it's a job that she's done before. So I'm like, ooh, I could use an undercover
only an
agent.
Hour?
Well, like an hour and a half maybe, but
Ugh.
still, you'd be like...
I considered for an hour.
The commute.
Well, I mean, there's also like, if you're starting at 9 o'clock and the kids have to be in school at 9 o'clock, and because of stuff that I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to talk about, they're going to a school. They're going to a school that's a half-hour drive away from us, and they're not on the bus because we're out of the catchment area for that school, and he's out of the catchment area for that school, but that's the school they're going to because fucking who knows. Yeah, so they need a half-hour ride to school every day. So we can't be in Kitchener at that time. Adam Broughton says, when I lived in North Bay, I drove by a giant billboard for one of those crisis pregnancy places every day. There is one right around the corner from my mother's house.
Is there?
Yeah, it's right beside the Avondale.
Can we go?
No.
Why?
I'm not going in there. No.
Come on, I want to see what it's like.
Yet those centers receive little to no government funding, while
Good.
Planned Parenthood receives $500 million a year.
Give them more.
A pro-abortion group called Action Canada for Sexual Health and Rights has complained that in Canada, there are more crisis pregnancy centers than abortion providers, including hospitals.
Yeah, because one of these is a gaslighting center and the other one provides medical services. Do these dumbasses not realize that Planned Parenthood centers don't actually just deal with abortions? They also do shit like mammograms for women. They also do shit like
Pap
STD
smears.
tests.
But even outside of that, they don't only offer abortions.
STDs are the punishment for having sex outside of marriage, so...
Yeah,
but
so are kids sometimes, but they don't want to talk about that.
They offer a full range of services. It's not just you come here for an abortion. It's people
Sexual
who don't know what
health.
they want to do. They help them weigh the pros and cons. Well, this is what happens with adoption, and this is what happens if you decide to keep it. This is what happens with abortion, and they help them make an informed decision as to what they want to do. And I want to say that, because a few years back, I remember, I think Planned Parenthood was in front of Congress for something. And I think they do less abortions than they actually do like
Other things.
like parent counseling and stuff like that.
Yeah, so Planned Parenthood actually supports you after the birth. Crisis pregnancy centers, not so much. They just want you to not get abortions.
Sounds great. This group has claimed that crisis pregnancy centers are giving out false information.
Because they are.
But they haven't offered any real proof.
I haven't looked into this, but like
See?
I've seen
That's why we
many.
need to go.
Okay, fine, we'll go.
One objection they have is that some of these centers offer ultrasounds, which they say can trick people into believing they're a medical facility.
Yeah. Like, where else do you get ultrasounds other than medical facilities?
In Canada, nowhere.
And, well, the crisis pregnancy centers. That's the only other place. Or there's those 3D ultrasounds that you can pay a shit ton of money for that makes your baby look like a really disgusting alien thing. But, like, that's it. There's private novelty ultrasound type things, and there's medical places, and there's crisis pregnancy centers. And they often dress up in medical garb to make themselves
and then we can
look
report back.
medical.
If they pretend hard enough.
Yeah.
Gas station has an ATM, but no one mistakes it for a bank.
Yeah, but you know what? ATMs are a regular thing to find outside of banks. Ultrasound machines are not regular things to find outside of healthcare facilities. Those two things are not equivalent. So like that would be more like saying let's see, I was going to say...
Your brain just fart?
Yeah, no, well, I was going for the analogy, but then I was going to say, like, to find a bank teller outside of a bank. But I'm like, no, those are real people that have lives that exist outside. But like a bank teller actually like doing their job outside of a bank, or like pretending to do their job outside of it. That's not something you see. You don't see people standing at random desks at a gas station being like, oh, hello, I can access your bank account. Let me like deposit that check for you. Like, because that would like that would be intending to like trick you into thinking that it's a bank, obviously.
Yeah.
But an ultrasound could help a woman realize her baby is not just a clump of cells.
That's right.
And that may affect her decision.
Yeah, see? Exactly. They're admitting it.
So
right here.
so they're admitting
they
the
give them
point is
ultrasounds
to-
specifically to emotionally manipulate people into not having an abortion.
Maybe that's the real objection.
Yeah, one research paper indicates
Yeah, that is the real objection.
One research paper. One.
If the shoe fits.
Yeah, that is the objection. You manipulate people into having babies that they didn't want. That's an objection. You don't see the validity of that objection?
that pregnant women who visit crisis pregnancy centers are 20% less likely to choose abortion than those who don't.
Good.
Which is a
Because
bad thing.
They're
Yeah.
being manipulated into it. Of course, you have a success rate. Congratulations.
Yeah, like we successfully manipulate people into having babies they don't want. That's not a thing to be proud of.
One report.
Yeah, it was probably funded by the Family Research Council.
The study authors suggest
Yeah. W. Swordsman says you don't see safe deposit box outside of banks. There you go. Better analogy. You win.
I thought the only safe deposit box was Rhino's V drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a safe
is.
box.
that this must be at least partly because the centers lie to people.
Or just emotionally manipulate them. But yeah, they do lie to them as well.
For example, Gnarl Pro-Choice America conducted an undercover
Gnarl.
investigation in which they said more than 67% of the locations intentionally referred to the fetus as baby and told our investigator she was already a mother because she was already pregnant.
Yeah, that's manipulation. That's lying. A fetus is not a baby. Just medically speaking, that is a true fact. A fetus is not a baby.
That's certainly a pro-life perspective, but it's also factually accurate.
No, it's not.
No, not really.
Just because you are wrong about the facts does not mean that they're not lying.
Most pregnancy centers are upfront about what services they do and do not provide. The name alone, pregnancy center, should be a clue that their focus is on pregnancy, not abortion.
That's right.
Okay, but Planned Parenthood, their focus is on planning your parenthood, which does not always include abortion.
Truth.
It's just one of the things that you can do so that you can, I don't know, if you're 20 and you don't want to have a kid right now until you're more financially stable, you can wait about 10 years until you do. And that's a perfectly reasonable thing to do as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
Oddly enough, many offer counseling for those who do choose an abortion, even though they don't perform them.
Yeah, so they will offer you counseling to convince you that you are grieving for the baby that you murdered. I feel like that wouldn't be productive.
Meanwhile, it's been suggested that other organizations tend to give the impression that abortion is the only option.
Mm-hmm.
No. Nobody says abortion is the only option. Abortion is an option.
Have they just been going, this is a suggestion, this has been something that has been posited forward, as opposed to actually like providing any evidence themselves?
Yeah, no, they don't have evidence on their side.
It's not.
No. Adoption is a great alternative for any mother who feels unprepared to raise a child.
Adoption is a great option if you are willing to go through the pregnancy and birth process. If you are fully aware of the risks that that entails, and you decide to do that, that is your choice. Hence, pro-choice. If you become aware of the risks involved with pregnancy, and you decide that's not for you, it's your choice to not do that.
Yep.
Anyway, that's it. And that's it for that one.
Oh, good.
This was the
'cause
last
I
one.
couldn't take any more of them.
Yeah, okay. So she's leaving us now.
Fair enough. Well, thanks for coming on and dealing with mine and Rhino's bullshit.
Well, it's not even your bullshit, it's their bullshit.
By V-Drive.
Oh.
All right, she's got to go pack or something. Start the process. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Token out.
I don't know if you heard that, but she just said token out into her microphone that I had already muted.
Token out.
Token out.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, okay. Let's see. All right, so she's gone. I don't think we're going to have time to cover the thing that I titled the stream over, because I still got tweets.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, okay. Steve Anderson's son came out as a Nazi. There, we covered it. Go read the Hammett Met article on it. He writes much more interestingly than me.
Yeah, and I did a video on the article, and that should be coming out in like 5 days probably. So yeah, there's at least that.
It's also like, and it's not just like there's some hints of Nazism. It's like
no, he flat out said he's a Nazi.
He just said the words "I am a Nazi," and he has a big tattoo of the Nazi bird thing on his chest. So yeah, now I have to actually like set up my tweets that I was supposed to do before the stream. So add image slideshow. I'm gonna do it the old-fashioned way. Add existing tweets. But I used that slideshow for fan art last time. It's always good to see that one again. Hey, that's more interesting to look at than just me doing shit. No, not add directory, add files. Oh, you know what? Fuck me. I didn't even save the ones that I sent to myself on WhatsApp.
I'm just happy that while you're doing that, I'm working on my Red Eyes Yu-Gi-Oh! Protagonist deck.
Okay, yeah. Have fun with that.
I am. The deck's not going to work because Red Eyes does not work.
Red Eyes does not work. I don't know what these words mean.
One of the protagonists from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime, his signature card is Red Eyes Black Dragon. They make a huge deal about it, but in the actual game, the card is hot garbage. And there's damn near never been a time where that card has been useful.
Okay. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we only got 6 tonight. And we're starting with
but that's a big one.
Yeah. But this is preamble. We don't need to spend a lot of time on this one because this is context for the next one. So Jake Sherman says, in an hour and a half, House Republicans will head to 1100 Longworth to elect a speaker. I've never seen the House Republican conference so discombobulated, rudderless, and confused in my time covering Congress. They said they'd spend the fall passing bills using regular order. Instead, they've booted their speaker and are warring over the next one. They are rewriting the rules of the election on the day of the election after criticizing states for doing that in 2020. They are taking the cell phones of elected officials when they go into the meetings. These are adults with staffs who are not able to bring electronics into party meetings. This speaker election could go a while, 2 weeks now on an internal party matter with government funding expiring in a month and change. So Jake Sherman is a reporter, and this is him reporting on the state of the Republican Party and how it's just a ginormous shit show. Marjorie Taylor Greene retweeted that and said, all warranted criticism, which I am frustrated with. However, at least checking our cell phones has cut down on your live tweeting what's being said in our conference meetings, and that part I'm happy with. Not a fan of snitches. He's a reporter.
Snitches?
That's literally his job.
Like, wait. Hold on. What stage of fascism is it supposed to be when you start getting angry about news media?
I don't know what stage of fascism that is, but it's definitely fashy because it's like the news media is like when a news person is commenting on what is going on in a political party and you refer to that as snitching, is what happened to transparency? Shouldn't transparency be a thing? Like why snitching should be the default for it, should it not? We should know what's going on in
one of the 12
the party.
one of the 12 early signs of fascism, controlling mass media. That is one of them. Neat. Glad to know we're there.
Yeah. Andres Pierano says, explain how evolution created a taste for music, nostalgia, faith, or even just the eyeball. Well, it created the taste for the eyeball because the eyeballs are high in calories.
This feels like this is the comment from my section that I sent you in DMs, where the dude was like, souls don't exist? Then how do you explain music? Like this?
Oh, yeah, I saw that tweet. Jake 4D says, LMAO, they are taking their phones after most of them took them into the SCIF during the impeachment process.
A real Republican hides their phone up their ass.
Yep. Well, no, not up the ass, because that's gay.
No,
it's got to go up the dick hole.
It has to be up the ass,
no,
because we know for a fact that gay escorts get a lot of money when CPAC comes to town.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, he says, was there an eyeless being that suddenly popped a whole eyeball, or was the retina there millions of years before the other parts of the eyeball? Makes zero sense. Like,
well, actually, some of the parts of the eyeball did come before other parts of the eyeball. It was a process.
Yeah.
That we actually know what the process looks like.
Yeah.
It's amazing when we have two things that have such short lifespans that we can actually witness evolution in real time. They are bugs and they are diseases. We can witness diseases evolve very, very quickly, and we get to witness multiple generations of bugs as they adapt to different environments, and we get to see those genetic changes over those generations, because we get to see like 20 to 30 generations in a few months.
Yeah. And E. coli is another one. The long-term E. coli evolution experiment, pretty fantastic experiment. One of my personal favorites. They've seen several things that could potentially qualify as a speciation event. And then the best is that creationists will respond to that with like, but it's still a bacteria. Like, bitch, please. You know, bacteria is on the same taxonomic level as like animal. So like to say it's still a bacteria though would be the same as saying that like an elephant and a fish are the same thing, because they're still animals though.
Rhino, you're still a eukaryote.
Yeah. Jethro Elfman says eyeballs are high in calories. LOL, worth a tip. But just the tip.
Only the tip.
Only the tip. Mark E. Spen something. Apparently I zoomed in too far, so we can't see the end of him. Really? How come we know that murder, lying, and stealing are wrong? If sin is artificial and subjective, then you won't mind if I take my gun and shoot you, steal all your valuables, and lie to police about it? I mean, none of these are really wrong, and it's subjective. Okay. He seems to have missed the point of the apologist argument here. It's like the whole thing is that like, oh, well, if sin is, or like if right and wrong are subjective, then like, who's to say that I'm wrong when I take my gun and shoot you, steal your valuables and stuff like that? It's like to say then you won't mind if I take it. No, subjectively I do mind very much. So if you're making me the subject that determines morality, then yes, I mind very much. That's immoral. Don't do it. So he kind of goofed on the analogy.
Also, I hate how long this confusion. I don't think it's confusion. I think it's deliberate. I have to assume it's deliberate. The confusion between subjective and objective morality is objective doesn't mean that something's right, and subjective doesn't mean that something's wrong.
Yep.
Objective literally means that there is something you can point to other than yourself.
Yeah.
That's what makes it objective. It doesn't make it more true or less true. People who follow the Bible as their moral code, yeah, that's objective morality. They have a set of rules, however flimsy, that they are trying to follow that is written in the Bible. It's objective. That doesn't make it fucking true, though.
See, well, I mean, this is one of those one of those areas where you can kind of get into definition fights, because like I would posit that objective morality does not exist, because in order for morality itself to exist, there have to be moral agents. There have to be subjects
and
that can act and think morally. So the fact that morality's very existence is dependent upon subjects makes it necessarily subjective. And that goes even if the subject that is dependent on is God.
So for me, I guess it's the reason that I disagree with that framework for me in general is whenever I sit down and actually look at the way that morality is discussed on like the SCP, for instance, it's discussed as a variety of frameworks as opposed to just this binary thing between these two options. So like from an anti-realist framework, what you said is true, and also people believing in objective morality exists within that as well. But either way, none of that matters when we're looking at this guy's tweets.
No,
because they're just wrong.
Yeah, this guy's just an idiot. Stripe says, can you name one instance of a group of Christians attacking and killing people and declaring it to be the mandate of God?
Inquisition. Crusades.
Hey, you know the Spanish Inquisition still exists?
Oh?
Yeah. I
didn't expect that.
Nobody does. Hey, Cyrus.
Yeah?
I have something for you.
I don't want it, whatever it is.
I've got the clap and I'm giving it to you. Who's got the clap? I do.
Please tell me you could hear that.
I heard it.
Okay.
I heard it. Like, I don't know. Has there ever been a moment where religiously motivated violence has been, I don't know, pertinent in human history? Hell if I know, but, you know, none of that's relevant today, for sure.
No, of course not. But no, specifically Christians. But like, yeah, no, there's the, was it the 30 Years' War as well?
Yeah.
And like per capita, that's like one of the deadliest wars in human history.
Let's see here. List of Christian wars. Let's see oh wow. God, even when I so it just pulls up the religious wars. So we get like the Greek War of Independence, Israeli-Palestinian conflict, but that's not what I'm looking for specifically. Of course, the Western Holy Wars, the Crusades, and there were multiple Crusades actually as well, to be noted. Yeah, I don't know. Can I name one instance of a group of Christians attacking and killing people and declaring it to be the mandate of God?
No, I can name a lot.
I can name a few.
Yeah, but you know this person's going to be like, oh, but they weren't true Christians, because a true Christian wouldn't do that. So by definition, if somebody has done that, they're not a true Christian.
A true Christian would not eat sugar in their porridge.
True Christian would eat kosher, because Jesus said he did not come to abolish the law.
All true Christians swallow swords, because Jesus came with a sword in his mouth.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if that's your kink, if you need a sword in your mouth to come.
Look, I'm just saying Jesus was definitely a voyeur. You don't get nailed by a bunch of Romans in front of everybody without having a little bit of a kink.
This is not the first time we've had this conversation.
No, it's not, and it won't be the last one.
Dave Rubin says people need to start making the connection between the genocidal Palestinian movement, Antifa, BLM, and elements of the Democrat Party.
So,
They captured the schools and institutions while calling the rest of us Nazis when they were actually the modern version.
So, I have some very bad news, Rhino.
What's that?
Did you see the recent tweet from Chicago BLM?
No.
There's a bit of this where Dave Rubin has a point, actually. So there is at least one BLM organization, the one out of Chicago, but not small. It's got like 60,000 followers on Twitter. Did actually make statements in support of not Palestine but Hamas, and specifically the slaughter of Israelis.
Yeah. So to kind of clarify this, I've been seeing a lot of people conflating Hamas with Palestine. That is not true. Hamas is a terrorist organization. Yes, they do currently have control of the government of Palestine, but that would be like saying that when Donald Trump was in control of the United States, then
representing all Americans.
Like Republicans are Americans. Those are the same thing. All Americans are Republicans because that's the party that's in power.
Should also be noted that a lot of this conflict has been happening in the Gaza Strip and not the West Bank. And a lot of the efforts during the conflict have been solely for isolating the Gaza Strip from the West Bank.
Yeah, so here's, like, I don't have a solution to the problem in the Middle East, but, like, Israel is running an apartheid state, that it's severely oppressive, and is, I would argue that it is genocidal. Like, not approaching it's genocidal. They want to wipe out the Palestinians. They haven't explicitly stated that, but they may as well be saying that with their actions. Hamas is explicitly genocidal. They have said they want to wipe out Israel.
Yep.
So fuck them both.
Saying that since 2006.
They are both the bad guys here. But, like, we got to remember that there are people in the middle here that are not Hamas and are not the Israeli government.
Not
They're
everybody is an
people.
Israeli militant. Not everybody is a militant under Hamas. It's also important to note as well that a lot of the kids in Palestine have actually been raised because of the environment they've been in. They've been raised in literally in a militant fashion, not outside of brainwashing.
Yeah. Well, so Sakura is saying arguably Israel's government is the worst guy. Yeah, from a pure power perspective and scope of retaliation perspective, like every time Hamas does anything, Israel retaliates like tenfold, and they're pretty indiscriminate about killing citizens, like just normal people, like not Hamas members, just people that happen to live in Palestine.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, yeah, Israel is the worst one because they have the bigger gun. But, like, you give Hamas the bigger gun, they will become the worst one. Like, they're fuck them both.
They will be worse They will be worse by matter of circumstance.
Yeah.
The ideologies of both are garbage.
Yep. So, like, I don't know what the solution is to the political issues there. Ideally, like, Israel was created out of, like, it's one of... So I would say that, like, if you ask the question, like, of atheists, like, if you could snap your fingers now and all religion would just disappear, would you do it? I would answer that question with no. But I think the way Israel came about as a modern country, like, in the 20th century, would be good reason to at least want the Abrahamic ones gone. Because, like, that was a combination of religious fundamentalism from both some sects of Judaism and from fundamentalist Christians in America, with the Jews just basically being like, hey, God promised us that land, so that's ours. Never mind that people are already living there. And with the Americans and other nations that are largely Christian in population, having people running them that are like, hey, we want the apocalypse to happen faster, and the Bible says that'll happen if they take over Israel, so let's do that.
It also doesn't help that Britain did a whole lot of double dealings to even make that happen in the first place, as they were fighting the Ottomans.
Yeah, but it's just like the
history is fun.
So it's not exclusive to this. It's like there was a lot more that went into than that, but a significant part of Israel's creation was people that were actively trying to bring about the end of the world. That is worth keeping in mind when talking about like the harm of religion.
And since there are Israeli officials who have gone on record recently and on Twitter saying that they should employ the nuclear option that they're not supposed to have, by the way, they might be actually getting their wish a little sooner than they might think, just not the way they wanted.
Yeah. Oh, and did you see that thing where Israeli intelligence actually had advance warning of the attack? And they really so they had advance warning, and they were told that because leading up to the attack there was they were pressuring the people in the West Bank a lot, like they were attacking them first, basically, making their lives miserable, just doing everything they could to exacerbate the situation. And so they got a report from intelligence being like, hey, if this continues, like, we have good reason to believe that a really bad attack is going to come as a result of continuing that, so we recommend not continuing that. And their response was basically like, oh, well, I guess the woke left has infiltrated our intelligence apparatus, so I'm just going to ignore that.
That sounds like Netanyahu's bullshit going full power.
Yeah. So it's like fucking American republicanism has made its way into the Middle East now. It's like, oh, we're going to ignore credible threats of terrorism because it's the woke left. Like,
thanks, Russia.
Okay, let's move on. Oh, that was the last one.
That was the last one.
That was the last one. That's a good way to end it. Okay.
Oh boy. Life is frustrating and living it is hard.
Yes, it is. Some Brennis is pointing out both Palestinians and Israelis are Canaanites, period. They're the same people. Yeah, that's like all the people in that region are related. The ancient Hebrews were, like, they evolved out of Canaanite culture.
The only reason so from what I understand, the only reason that there's a significant difference at all is because I don't remember when this happened. And I don't know if you remember either, Rhino, but there was a point in time where Judaism was just considered a religion. It wasn't considered an ethnic religion. And then the category changed to it being a religion and ethnicity at the same time.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm done with this topic. I have to go pack for a wedding.
That's fair.
So
I hope you have a fun time.
Thanks for joining me. I'm hashtag sorry not sorry that we didn't get to the Nazi story.
Let's be honest, we both avoided dealing with more NIFB bullshit.
Yeah. No, Steven Anderson is not a fun guy. He's banned in lots of countries, though. That's always fun to remember.
He's banned in at least 34 of them. If you don't believe me, look up Steven Anderson, Rule 34.
And yeah, his buddy Tommy McMurtry may or may not be sexually attracted to pumpkins. Don't go to TommyMcMurtry.com.
All righty. See you, man.
Have a good night.